free. You know, you don't have to have been on the show before. No need whatsoever. Just feel free to in, dip out. We're just talking watches. No, nothing more important than that. I'm gonna start with a watch that actually is one of the candidates again for the Grand Prix, for the Grand Prize of Horology held in Geneva. This is not a watch that we particularly paid attention to. It was actually one of the competing watches in the artistic crafts section, in the artistic crafts group, Métiers d'Art. And it is made by the German watchmaker Stefan Kudoke. And it's a collaboration actually with SJX. So SJX Kudoke Zodiac, which is nominated in the artistic crafts category. And in a way, it builds on Kudoke 2, which is in their regular lineup. And I think it's a very handsome watch. Of course, Kudoke himself is one of the AHCI members, right? One of the independent makers recognized, distinguished by his membership to that academy. And this is a watch he created for the 10th anniversary of the website SJX Watches. And of course, it's a category that calls for exceptional mastery of one or several artistic techniques, such as enameling, lacquering, engraving, guilloche, which is just French for engine turning, skeleton working, open working, etc. There's one thing that I really like about this watch right from the outset is how the center of the dial matches so well with the suede or nubuck strap that they chose. Maybe a few different shades of gray, but certainly the nappiness of the suede strap really goes well with the grainy texture of that dial center. Quite beautiful. And of course, it's an entirely handmade watch, both the front and back decorated in relief and textures, the dial and movement fully engraved by the artisans at Kudoke. So that's its main claim to honors in that category, engraving, hand engraving specifically. The R symbols on the dial were commissioned especially for the watch and drawn by Canadian illustrator Lee Yuan-Rapati, who is now in-house designer at Fears. I have no idea what Fears is. I guess it's another watchmaker. He cleverly combined both a sign of the zodiac and a Roman numeral into each of the hour markers. The marker at 10, for instance, is Aquarius, but it also contains X and the Roman numeral 10. I guess they wanted to emphasize that in particular, since it's their 10th anniversary watch. To echo the celestial theme on the front, the movement decoration was similarly designed by Mr. Yuan Rapati. The three-quarter plate bears a motif incorporating symbols of the zodiac on a stylized cosmic background. Let's see that. Whoa. That's really amazing work. I want to see also the Kudoke 2 just to have a sense of what Kudoke usually does with this. This is, of course, a day and night indicator, basically a 24-hour indicator here at 12 o'clock off the dial. As you can see, the hands themselves have a very distinctive shape with the infinity sign for the hour hand and this twisted um, structure to the minute hand. And of course, this watch, the Kudoke 2, as it comes, is a little less adorned than that watch that was designed for the 10th anniversary of SJX and also submitted for the competition. But it's, in a way, I think it really lets the regulator shine, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And that's a watch actually that won the Petite Aiguille in the competition a few years ago. If I'm not mistaken, it should be 2019. And of course, the hand engraving here is just on that balance cock. I honestly have no clue how for how much these watches even go for. Does anyone in the audience have a clue about how much the Kudoke watches go for? I like to watch this. Fears is an English watch brand. I think there's a link there, so let's just click that and take a look. Fears Garrick. Interesting. Okay, it's not interesting. So before we go to Fears Garrick, I guess I did find the page they had for the Zodiac. I'm sure it's already done because it was a watch they had released in 2021 at the end of 2021, limited to 21 pieces and one prototype, part of the Handwerk collection, handwork, fully engraved on the front and the back. And it incorporates again all the signs of the zodiac with the Roman numeral that goes for that particular hour marker, obviously. And The price at the time was one in titanium and the other, I think, in a way, two-tone with a gold ring and gold onion crown. 39 millimeters in diameter, 10.7 millimeters in thickness. And the strap is actually from Alcantara, which means it's um, it's actually more hard wearing in a way and also vegan. So that's good. And it was 17,800 in titanium and 19,500 in the two-tone titanium rose gold. Nice. That's that's fantastic. Wow. Okay. It's the Kudoke is basically right under $9,000. It's not, it doesn't seem like a bad deal from a watchmaker like that. Hey, Messaging Matters. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the show. I like to watch. Same to you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know if there is if there's a dealer that carries Kudoke watches in the US. You probably have to order it directly from them. I've never I've never come across someone who advertises it. We were to go to their page. Let's see if they even have a section for retailers. Of course they do. North America. Martin Pulley Fine Jewelry and Watches in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then Watch Buys, which is, I'm guessing, an online store. Okay. Do they have very German focused? Yeah. Sinn, Benzinger, Thekla, Dornblüt und Sohn, ESA, I guess, Hanhart, Jäger and Benzinger, and Kudoke. Yeah, okay. They do have them all. I know um, one of the viewers of the show, Time is a Human Construct, uh, didn't necessarily agree with my take on the Zenit Hodinky collaboration and the Salmon dial that they chose for it. For me, Salmon is a very classical option for a watch dial. It feels right at home on a watch like this, or any three-hander, really. Um, I think it kind of evokes a dressy, if not necessarily formal, mood, vibe, whatever you want to call it, feel. Um, I can also certainly see it on like a hand wound two register chronograph. For me, The Zenit El Primero is basically exactly the opposite of that vibe, right? You're talking about the legacy of one of the first, if not the first, integrated automatic chronograph movements in the world. That's that to me in terms of the idea, in terms of the concept, in terms of the feeling. It's the opposite of Salmon Dial, but that's just me. Um, Here, for example, on the Kodoke one, I think it looks fantastic. Maybe it's because it's too broken up with all the different chronograph registers. I don't know. I might be wrong. Oh yeah. I mean, this watch looks just great. I'm not sure if I like the salmon dial on Kodoke too, but with the blue, looks amazing. Messaging Matters says from this photo, and maybe it's due to all negative space, it looks more like flesh than salmon. We like that. We do like that. Messaging Matters. Flesh is good. Let's look at it in this one. This has less negative space, I guess, in a way, or the same probably, because the other has seconds on the sub dial at 9 o'clock, and this has the 24-hour indicator or day and night indicator at 12 o'clock. So practically the same amount of negative space, but unless, of course, you mean the black backdrop as negative space, in which case it makes very little difference. Yeah, that's great. Honestly, I think in a way, these watches look better without all those adornments and special bespoke designed hour markers and everything. I think the cleaner, the better. Interesting. I mean, I had heard about Kodoke before and I had seen some of their watches. I always imagined that they would be at an entirely different price segment. Um, I'm surprised to have found them here, right around 12. I guess, in a way, they're really beautiful, but in a stark, minimalist way, even with the day and night indicator. All right, now to go all the way back to Fierce Garrick. It's really fascinating that, a lot of these English brands have quite interesting names, even though it's not obviously and like that, but Fears, Speed Marine. It's very suggestive. All right, English independents team up for Fierce Garrick, a dress watch with a twist. Fears and Garrick have banded together to create a wristwatch that bears the aesthetic of the former while relying on the mechanics of the latter. So maybe they're separate. That's just a collaboration. Let's see, Fears watches. It's usually a standalone thing. Hmm. I mean, again, this is a brand that I'm just discovering. So thank you, I Like to Watch, for turning my head around to it. I actually like the design overall. I don't necessarily love the skeletonized hands, but that traditional cushion shaped case that kind of invokes this old school Rolex oyster case vibe, especially along with that crown. I wonder what kind of calibers power these watches. Movement says the Brunswick is powered by a Swiss-made manual winding ETA 7001 movement. Mm. Ah, I mean, it's not a bad movement, but for 4K plus, maybe a little overpriced. Yeah, some interesting pieces, including that collaboration with Fears Garrick, or with Garrick, I should say, right there. Yeah, not sure. This hasn't really pulled me in the same way that Kudoke has earlier today. Um, I think it's just expensive for what it is, frankly. You gotta feel very strongly about British watches to invest in something like this. Against reason, perhaps a little bit. Helge Strand. They're certainly an enthusiast brand about Kudoke. I don't see someone outside the watch community stumbling across Kudoke. I can, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's look, outside of the watch community, no one knows anything, guys. I'm not saying this in the form of a lament. It is what it is. It's like, if I were talking to a sneakerhead, um, I would be completely lost, right? You know, as if that person um, was talking in some foreign language. And same with watches. People just don't know most of the brands. People know Rolex. People now know Patek. They have known Audemars since you know early 2000s, maybe, and that's about it. That's about it. Maybe there are a few brands that they might recognize as, like, grandpa's watch. Outside of those, other than that, people really don't know any watch brands, period. But certainly they're not gonna tell you, oh, that's a nice Kodoke. Uh, Helios says, by the way, Josh Thanos on his podcast, The Trading Desk, had a rather lengthy discussion on Fears and its companion brand, Garrick. I will certainly check it out, Halia. I will certainly check it out. I had the pleasure to listen to that podcast at all, I will take a look. And just to quickly remind myself of what they're competing against when it comes to stick crafts, category in GPHG. It's Arthur Akmaev's Rise of the Blue Dragon. Jesus, Audemars Piguet's Code 1159. Grand Sonnerie, Super Sonnerie. All right. What kind of metal is this watch? I wonder. White gold. Honestly, the only thing I like about Code 1159 is probably the straps. Those seem to be well chosen. Of course, my absolute favorite in this category was the BCHH Benjamin Chi Haute Horlogerie Celestial Voyager Sunset over Cappadocia, which seems like a beautiful cloisonné work at the center of the dial. I think overall, just a beautiful watch, including the blue gold rotor. Beauvais has a skeleton tourbillon. Celadon Haute Horlogerie has again a cloisonné dial, peacock, and peonies. Seems, I mean, I like the way that the hands flow together with the painting, but seems like a very unreadable watch. Again, not that anyone reads anything off their watches at this point, but hey, sometimes people do. Fabergé has an altruist wilderness lion. Chopard has a Year of the Tiger watch. Feynman Timekeepers has a panda. I like that. I hope they designed it with a sense of humor, with all the craze about panda dial chronographs. Hermes has an Arceau with a diamond set bezel. Hublot has a classic fusion, which was a collaboration with the artist Takashi Murakami. Rainbow sapphires. Case Engelbart's has another dragon design. I mean, this is, for example, a beautiful execution of copper or salmon dial, right? The bronze in this case, with the work done by Jonathan Shapira. I don't know why I called him Jonathan. I think his name is actually Josh. So my apologies. But yes, so in that's the J.N. Shapiro dial, and that is actually the particular engine turning decoration that he uses. It's a Haprank 2 watch. And again, I mean, I think these tones play much better with a classically designed piece with something that, you know, exudes more of a dress watch aesthetic than something more sporty, in my opinion. So this is a great piece. Again, an interesting alternative right under 10,000 with, I'm assuming it would be, the movement um, would be one of the in-house calibers of Habring 2. And the interesting thing about this particular watch is it actually receives its chronometer certification from HSNY, the Horological Society of New York. And apparently that's the first time they confer a chronometer certification. So Lab O3, 66 pieces to commemorate 1866, the year of the Horological Society of New York's founding. Although I have to say, since I think Habring calls all the in-house caliber watches Felix something, so Erwin probably is. I'm guessing it's some sort of modified movement. I have to double check this. Okay, let's go to their page. Hey, Joe, welcome back. Are you there?
What's going on, Lloyd?
Hey, man, welcome back. How are you doing, man?
Good, good. Um, yeah, good.
You have some news?
Hmm. No, not really. No, I just had a little bit of time here to kill, and I figured might as well just kind of drop on in.
Hey, man, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. We were looking at the Masena Lab Habring 2 Erwin Lab O3, featuring a bronze engine turned dial by J.N. Shapiro. And it apparently has a chronometer certification by Horological Society of New York, which is a very interesting thing. I don't think we did that kind of stuff, Americans, I mean. So that's an interesting development. And there we go. You actually have a certificate that comes with it,
Mm.
right? It's cool.
So, what is this more or less of an independent then?
I mean, it is an independent, Habring 2, the Austrian brand that makes some very interesting watches. It's basically a couple. Um, the guy used to be a watchmaker in IWC, and he was the one who basically came out with a new version of the split chronograph. Um, so he certainly knows what he's doing, and they have had that brand for a while. They have some nice solid dress watches, some chronographs, but it's usually a very stark aesthetic. This is probably the most quote unquote beautiful, classically beautiful watch I've seen by them. It's usually a little more of a modernist touch. There we go, for example. Like their chronographs are
Um,
pretty nice, but
is this a
again,
brand where you can essentially build the whole thing from start to finish? Like you so you're given like three options of a movement. You can select your dial, you can select your material, so on and so forth, and you can essentially build it to your own liking. Is this brand?
no, not necessarily. I don't think so, but they do have a lot of options. I think some of them are limited editions that they came out across the years, but I think a lot of it is still available, and they do have a few um, ADs in the US that sell them. I don't know anywhere near us necessarily, but they have a few.
Because I
Um,
know Watchfinder. This was like 2 years ago, 2 3 years ago. They were hyping up a independent brand that was I don't know, I guess fairly decent. Not a whole lot of money, but you were given the option like you could customize essentially your
Mm.
timepiece. And yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Do you remember any other details about it at all?
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard to dig up. I'll probably send it to you via Instagram. But yeah, it was a very interesting. Like I said, it weren't too expensive. I think like the most expensive one. Actually, I take that back. I think from memory, I think like your baseline watch would be about like $5,000. Then you can work your way up to like almost 15,000. I'll have to look it up
Mm.
again.
All right, let's take a look. I mean, speaking of sending things on Instagram, you have not sent me any interesting material that you have been sharing earlier on Instagram. I feel left out.
And man, I've just been busy. Quite. I got to be frank and honest with you. I've been fairly busy.
Okay.
But yeah, no.
I mean,
I've been.
so busy that you stop checking out women on Instagram. That
Well, I
busy,
mean, let's not go that far. I mean, I did happen to catch that Liana King has a new Speedmaster.
right?
Kind of, anyways.
I tried my best not to comment on that picture because
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you.
you were saying, is she wearing a new Speedmaster? And I was gonna say, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that she's wearing a piercing on her nipples. But
Yeah, I actually thought that was actually. I actually figured that out like 2 months ago. Actually, I'm like, huh, isn't that something? She doesn't seem like the type. But actually, if we're being like on a professional stance here, that's actually kind of a surprising move for her to buy something like that. Because I was looking through all of her old reels of the watches she's
mm,
had previously, and it looks like the cheapest watch she's ever owned is a two-tone Daytona yellow gold, which would be what, roughly $25,000, give or take. The
two
rest
tone
is
retail is not that expensive. Retail is probably like 18 rather than yeah.
interesting though. I mean, I'm pretty sure she got it at retail, knowing her. But
Yeah.
yeah, the rest is like all Richard Mille, like a tourbillon, what was it, tourbillon Vacheron, a dress watch, a few Patek Philippe's. So this moon swatch is actually kind of an interesting curve coming from her. Like a watch that's not even worth $300.
It is, but let's roll back the tape. I'm more interested on the official Meech position on nipple piercings. What do you think about nipple piercings, Joe? What does it convey to you? Do you like them?
It has to be done tastefully, I guess. I actually have seen some very I don't know, questionable piercings, I guess. But
Speaking of taste, I mean, I was never attracted to the taste. I think aesthetically it can look pretty great, and it's I mean, more than how it looks, it's what it conveys about the person who wears them, I guess.
exactly.
And usually it is well founded, but yeah, it's just for someone who likes, you know, sucking on nipples. It's not the best thing. You feel like, you know, you have just licked your house keys or something.
Technically, we can get into a very very interesting conversation here, but for the sake of the program, but no, I just yeah, I actually like I said, I thought that's actually kind of surprising coming from her, considering that she comes off a little bit more conservative. But hey, you know, it just makes it that much more interesting.
Yeah,
But I
sh-
have a theory on why she wears
she
that watch. I'm pretty sure like she sold.
she strikes you as someone conservative. Wait a sec. Where'd you get that idea?
Okay, okay, not okay. If you look at her last like 2 months of her Instagram, it's kind of gotten a little
Uh-huh.
bit more risque. But um, I feel like she sold a lot of her, all pretty much almost all of her watches. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know she's got one Richard Mille that she just bought, and I know she's
Mm.
got a Patek still. But man, that would kind of suck though. If we're talking just in broad terms, having a collection like that of powerhouse watches and not being able to wear them because you live in the fucking UK, because you're always worried about being robbed. But I don't know. I
Mm.
suppose you kind of have the inside view of that as well, living in California.
Yeah, I mean, look, I never. Yeah, I'm not worried, man. I'm not worried. I see what people mean when they talk about these things, and I guess you have to always keep your common sense. Um, you know, but I don't. I've never felt threatened in Los Angeles at all. Um, yeah, not in that way, anyways.
I know Cali isn't as bad as the UK or just London in general. Because I based off of just in watching news, I guess London typically gets the most press when it comes to that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that would suck. You know, if I had a collection like that and I just couldn't wear it. And I think she's gotten tired of just not being able to wear her stuff anymore. And she's like, oh, screw it, I'll wear the moon
Where
swatch,
most
which,
watch. Okay.
yeah,
That's an interesting
yeah,
theory. That's an interesting theory. I mean, my theory about all of that is, especially since it's mostly propagated by quote unquote retired watch dealers, it's really a way of making people fear wearing their watches so they can't actually form an emotional bond to them and then sell it for cheap to dealers so you can sell it for more money to the next punter. It's basically a similar strategy to say, "Oh, guys, Batman is getting discontinued," and
right,
let's look at David SW. I mean, he's not David SW, but whatever his David SW is. Um, so I don't know, man. I think a lot of it. Having seen some shit happen in front of my own eyes as well, I'm not discounting the thing entirely. Preserve common sense. Don't wear your most expensive and eye-catching watch in a situation and neighborhood where you might find yourself alone walking in the dark, having to whistle as loudly as you can. So I'm not saying that
right.
wear everything everywhere with just absolute abandon, but I think a lot of the fears are really overblown. We are not there yet. We might get there. I mean, if we go back to the 20s, right? The Great Depression, if that comes, people were beating the shit out of each other for shopping bags. So of course your watch won't be safe.
Right, 100%. And I don't know. I guess I'm lucky enough to live in the Midwest. I guess technically the northern Midwest, where people typically don't care about that stuff too
Right.
much.
No, it must be. I mean, look, I know also how you feel and what you told me about whenever you go into the Twin Cities, for example, that you do feel like it's quite different already. So I
Yeah, the
I
Twin
can see
Cities
the
you don't
point.
fuck around with just in general.
So I mean, I do, I do understand that difference. Don't take me wrong. I'm not being completely careless or ignorant about it. But
Right.
so I like the watch. I like to watch. Says, why isn't Meech's pick of his beat up date chest?
Uh, it needs a polish. Actually, it actually does need a polish.
But I mean, of course, the inside joke is that you have beaten it up literally on camera on this very live stream. So
That too. Actually, that's actually a very interesting conversation that's going to have to be behind the scenes on that date just.
okay.
But but funny you should bring up like while we're talking about this whole wearing the watch thing. When I typically go down to the bars, so I drink in what is considered to be college town. So like all the bars are lumped into one part of the city essentially, and it's mostly like your age demographic is from like technically 17 to 25, but officially it's 18 to 25 drinkers down there. But when you have that, everyone's checking out everyone.
I mean,
Everyone's looking at
officially, you really meant um, 21 to 25, I think, right? Since they're
there's
drinking.
there's quite a few people down there that I know who are they're carrying around a couple extra IDs.
I see.
But anyways, but yeah, no, it's competitive down there, socially. I mean, everyone's checking out, all the girls are looking at each other, who's got the better dress, who's got the better tans, who's got the better fake tips,
Mhm.
who's got, the LV, the Gucci, the Hermes, who's got all this, the guys are looking at who's got the better gold chains, the better watches. So,
Messaging Matters
um,
says, "Welcome to the horology segment of our discussion." Yes, let's.
we're asking the hard hitting questions, we're bringing up the deep topics, but yeah, so everyone's checking out everyone essentially, and it and just, even with that, it's fairly mild mannered, especially Minnesota, where example being somebody was. I remember one time we were down there,
Mm,
a group of friends, and somebody just bought a solid gold chain with the like an actual like a miniature lock on it.
okay.
Very very blingy, very flashy. And you got like tons of compliments on it, but nobody, you never once felt threatened that somebody was going to take it from them. So
Hmm. I mean, college town atmosphere is a little different, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Again, it might be just my personal, you know, I don't care about those things. I'm not. Sometimes people don't believe me when I say these things, but I'm afraid of no man. The only thing I'm afraid of is God. Everything else, it's just it is what it is. I'm gonna wear my watch. I'm gonna be careful about it. I'm gonna be careful about how I move, where I move, but I'm
well,
just gonna
right,
wear my
but
watch.
I mean, like I said, I know UK is pretty bad in general, based off of the followers, or shall we say, influencer, quote unquote influencers they do follow, who actually do live in the UK. Like, there's some cases where, like, yeah, you'll get robbed for a Casio. They don't care that, they're just taking a gamble. It's a legitimate watch that they can sell. They won't pay attention if it's a Casio or
Mm.
Amiga or whatever. They'll just rip it off your wrist and hope
No,
it pays off.
I do want to say one thing though. I mean, I understand again that's perhaps the aura of the watch, but when it comes to Richard Mille, for example, I always imagine, like, people who own a Mille to wear it on their wrist, they must walk around with some sort of security detail anyways, man. I mean,
Yeah,
how are they doing?
actually, one would think so, but actually, I heard a very interesting rumor. So when it comes to Liana, so she actually gets ushered around like in three different vehicles. So she used to get ushered around in Rolls Royce, and then people kind of figured out, okay, so when she show up to watch events, perfume events, things of that nature, people would figure out like, oh, she's arrived.
Hmm.
Then she switched up, and now I think she had Bentley drive her around for a while, and then she switched up again. She was just at a Cartier event, and she had Audi drive her around. So I guess
Mm.
when you have
Maybe
that kind of money, you want to keep it, you want to keep switching it up so people don't figure it out.
now now I have a different theory, Meech, about her grading down to watch
I know where you're
from
going.
her
I know where you're
usual.
going.
If she went all the way down to an Audi from a Rolls Royce, that's interesting.
It's gonna
Um,
be a Beamer next, Lord. It's gonna be a Beamer.
no, not that. I like to watch says you can wear anything pretty much anywhere in New Zealand. Tranquille, tranquil.
But yeah, it would suck
Mambo.
to have like that kind of collection not being able to wear it. I mean, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. I mean, it's. I see what you mean, but it's not. I don't know. If I were a woman, I guess I would think much more carefully. It's being a full grown man. I think you're fine wearing whatever watch as long as you have common sense. But it is what it is. Wristwatch Holic says her next car will be a Honda. Right. Honda makes great cars. And so does Audi, by the way. I'm sure someone will get in their feelings because I said she graded down to an Audi. I mean, Audi's fine.
Oh, I mean, the one that she's getting driven around in, it's fucking nice, fairly spacious. Question, the
So
real
how?
question is the
Yes,
Audi
sir.
put it in the garage? Is it put it in the garage though? That's the real question.
That's your garage or car?
The
Wow. I
fuck you
mean,
mean? You don't even put a topper over it? You don't even put a tarp over it?
man. I mean, I understand, man. The way I baby some stuff that I have, I respect people who have that kind of relationship to their cars. I really don't, but
Right.
you know, I understand. What? Who are we talking about? This is Liana King, who Meech follows very religiously and in a devout fashion on Instagram. Um,
She must have came from money though, or either that or I don't know. But based off of
either
what I've seen on her
either
collection,
that either that or what, Joe? Either
e-
that or
well,
what?
no, I'm not gonna deny she probably hasn't gotten some stuff for free. Like, because I followed her on TikTok for a while,
Uh-huh.
and there's been a few videos like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense now, you know. But I mean, she does well for herself financially.
Honestly, how much? I mean, how many followers does she have on Instagram and TikTok? I mean, she might
Oh, I
be
don't know.
cashing in quite a bit.
Um, Probably. I know her TikTok isn't as big as her Instagram, but like I said, keep in mind she's either the co-owner. She's either the co-owner or pretty high up on for Fashion Nova in London.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, okay then. All right. What she has 24.2K followers on Instagram. That's not much. And she has a brand called Novo.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but she's only 24, so keep that in mind. So I mean, given that, like I said, that's why I'm kind of thinking she had to come from her her family's
But she
probably pretty well
she's
connected.
24.
Yes.
She looks like 44, man. What's wrong with her? Bad genes. Um not my type, I guess, Joe. Sorry about that.
It's gone pear shaped.
So what's going on in your world of watches, Joe? Have you been thirsting after any watches? Have you put yourself down for any Rolexes coming in?
No, not really, honestly. I kind of met up with my cousin. We grabbed a quick bite to eat, and we scooped up his Tudor. He was pretty over the moon with it. It's
Chopped to
not a
bits.
bad watch. It's chuffed to bits, you know.
What did he get? Tudor Ranger?
Yes, he got the new Tudor Ranger.
Nice.
We even got a little bit of a discount. $300 was the standard deduction. So
Did you
I,
did you have him use your coupon?
no,
Didn't you have
it's
a
well, I
coupon
mean,
for some?
technically, since we both came in together, they just by default he got it because he was with me. Um, when he
Ah,
becomes more of a regular client, they'll probably start offering it to him just by default as well.
so
Um,
um, where else do we get discounts when we roll with Joe in town?
mm, Funny enough, of all places, um, big house sales of Munch. 5% off your bill. Prime ribs. It's kind of the specialty there. So
I can't really benefit from that. What else?
the rest. I'm trying to think of like where I get like a random discount because I've been there. So, oh, okay, this is like way back, but I used to get like a random discount at Subway in my local hometown when I was in high school. I'd always go there after school and get like a sub sandwich, and it got to the point where like they were starting to give me like 10% off, like loyalty points before they even had a loyalty program on.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, nice and also kind of depressing at the same time because gotta eat better than that.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, by saying nice, I meant like, they basically, a lot of businesses have that sort of local business discount.
Mm,
Um, I mean, if you work next door to the Subway, you come in, they will give you a discount, either because they have seen you enough times, like they did to you, or because you come in the first time and say, "Hey, guys, I work next door. If you need anything, you know, I'm here. By the way, you know, can I have this and that? And they'll probably cut you a discount.
Right. I actually, funny enough, I do typically, not all the time, but typically, I get my fee waived by the bouncers when I walk into the strip club nowadays. You know, so I no longer have to pay the cover charge, which is kind of funny. Because I remember one time I walked in, it was a Saturday night, and the place was packed, and like three other guys were with me. I walk in and I say, "Hey, what's going on, Gary?" And I walk right by him, and my friends are gonna follow me. And Big Gary, he steps right in front of me, he's like, hold up, you gotta pay the cover charge. And they're all looking at me, and
Mm.
I just kind of shrug my shoulders and go up to the bar and start ordering my drink. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, I get that fee waived typically.
I mean, it makes so. Does that mean so? If I were in town and we went to the strip club, would they waive the fee for me as well?
No, 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 no. I just typically, I mean, this is just with any bar like I typically go to. It's been a minute since I've been to downtown, but especially in strip clubs, I typically tip the bouncers a little extra, and then I typically tip my regular barkeeps a little extra as well, just as a little bit of a gratitude. And you know, when they toss me out of the bar, you know, they can at least toss me out in the pile of snow instead of on the concrete.
Mm.
But I digress. But I gotta admit though, I gotta be frank and honest. Dis Jerez dis. I mean, he's got me thinking about shooters. He's got me thinking about shooters. And so he just picked up his Black Bay. What's that
Yes,
now?
sir.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks. Messaging Matters says, by the way, and I think unironically, you guys have the best chemistry.
Mm.
I agree. I agree. We shoot the shit pretty well. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been a minute since I've been on anybody's streams. Like I've been so I know there's been some things going on with Archie's stream. I hear he's getting a new watch, getting a Breguet. Is that correct? If I'm hearing the rumors correctly.
I mean, I keep hearing that too. Maybe he got jealous.
I I'm pretty sure I've seen like a video here on my YouTube feed about Archie was saying I help me decide my next watch or something like that. I don't know.
Ah,
I'll have to revisit that.
I have
Um,
honestly, I have not had the time to watch Archie, um, and I don't watch any of the other live streams since Watch Nicholas doesn't do anything at this point in time. I watch Art Sai once every so often. I watch whenever Aussie Expat puts up one of his videos.
I have,
On yeah.
yeah, I don't think, am I subscribed? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm subscribed to Ozzy.
Well, speaking of which, guys, please subscribe to Aussie Expat Watches. As you know, Aussie is a regular contributor here, um, just like Meech. He has times where he has to take care of business, take care of family. So once every so often, he does that and comes back. So Aussie is a good friend. And Mamba says, "Where is El Profesor?" He's my favorite. I will convey this to him. He is my favorite watch guru on YouTube. Very knowledgeable. Mamba, El Profesor is based in the UK, and he's an early riser, which means he is usually joining us in the second half of the show. And Mamba, I'm assuming you are a West Coast guy, so after 10:30 is when you can start to expect um yeah, when you can start to expect to see El Profesor. He is very knowledgeable. I mean, he's an economist, an actual trained economist, and then he also has been in the world of watches for 3 decades, and in a pretty engaged and involved way, right? I'm not at liberty to give out any more specific information, but he has been an insider in the watch industry for almost 3 decades. So obviously, that speaks for itself. Messaging Matter says Archie got it today. Someone said he and Lord are now twinsies. Amazing. Yeah,
Mm.
it's funny. It's funny. Well, I mean, look, it's no secret, right? Of course, I knew about Prague and Type 20, but really, it's just like the story of my Polar Explorer 2. If the Type 20 wasn't part of the Archie 5 at some point, I wouldn't have looked into it so seriously over the years, and I wouldn't have acquired myself one, I don't think. For me, the real captivating moment, because again, I'm a vintage watch guy. I go to shops, everything is loose and around, right? No one shows you what box the watch comes with. And since we are Rolex guys anyways, it's pretty generic for the most part, even with the vintage stuff. So it was on Archie that I first saw that the Type 20 has this very special like wing like presentation box, which I actually have right here. So let me pull it out just so everyone has a point of reference. So when I saw this, I was immediately sold. It has like 3 different iterations more or less. This is the most recent one, and I think it's really the most utilitarian one. The ones that came with the first generation and have actually gold colored rivets to match also the gold cap of that earlier model. Those are pretty cool too, but it's just not a great presentation box because it has where the watch sits is like this wooden block that is certain to scratch the case back of the watch, even if you're really careful, especially if you want to close it with the watch inside. This one, when you close it with the watch inside, it peeks right through this little window, and it's very beautiful. So I can certainly imagine someone using this literally as a presentation box of some sort. I mean, I can't get tired of this watch, so it's not going into any box anytime soon. But yeah, love it, love it. And yeah, what an honor. I mean, it's I had heard rumors. I got this watch maybe what now almost for yeah, I've had it almost for a month and a half by now, maybe a little more. So I've kept it under wraps for a pretty long time, and then I revealed it I think last week somehow, and I kept hearing that um, the pontiff was considering getting one again. And as you guys know, he had both Type 20s actually at different times. He had the Aéronaval, which I think is the one he got again. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is just the simple no date version. And he also had the Transatlantique, which is the one that has a date window. And he has constantly said that before he actually saw Breguet Type 20 and before he got acquainted with it, he actually didn't like chronographs, which is pretty fascinating to me because that's where I got actually the closest connection to Archie, because I like the Speedmaster as well, but the Type 20 aesthetic, which is very all black Arabic numerals, it's to me it's just the best chronograph aesthetically, and it's really gotten me into thinking about at least other chronographs. So even before the Speedmaster, Archie actually first chose a Type 20 to that ignited his love for chronograph watches, which I think is a pretty interesting story. I was happy to discover that. And Messaging Matters says, don't quote me, but I think someone asked Archie if he has the wing box, and he said he didn't know. How can he? If I recall correctly, right now, if you go back in time, he did with his previous Type 20, at least the Aeronaval, the one he had most recently, he had the wing box. I mean, I've learned of the existence of that box from Archie Luxury, so that can't be wrong. Sometimes memory plays tricks on you, but I'm not that intelligent that I can construct an entire story like that off the top of my mind. But yes, again, different generations have different boxes. Like, the first one has that gold colored rivets on the wing. After that, it's again same design, same presentation structure with that wooden block inside and a plate that says Breguet Type 20, but without the gold colored rivets, just the usual colored rivets. And then you have this box. And then I think since they continued selling the watch until 2018, I think towards the end they just started using the generic Breguet boxes, so it might make sense.
Well, either way, I mean, if Archie's got a new watch, congratulations, I guess. Bob's your uncle type thing. So
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can and I will always say is I hope he wears it in good health and wealth. It's oh, he was getting it today, so it's that recent. Fantastic.
yeah. Other than that, no, I really haven't. I mean, I want to buy something here, for two reasons. One, I need to update my selling credibility on the Facebook platforms. I don't know, for some reason, if you haven't sold anything in the last like 4 to 5 months, people find your references to be, I don't know, I guess irrelevant and, I don't know, not valid anymore.
Nice.
Um,
Nice. So
so and
what, once a flipper, always a flipper, basically. You like one, you have to constantly flip watches to be respected.
it's not really respected, but it's just trusted, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Things have gotten really, really interesting on the Facebook platforms. I've seen a few names pop up that were. I mean, they had good runs. Like they never had a bad streak. They never really had really trusted guys at the time, and then suddenly they're I don't know. They decide to flip the card over, I guess, and it's not like, how do I say this? They're not flipping the card on these people, like they're not ghosting people on like a Rolex or whatever. It's like it's over the weirdest things. Like I just seen a guy get ghosted over, what the fuck was it? A Deep Blue. That's a weird thing to. I don't know. I guess, and not that I'm condoning it, but if you're gonna rob somebody, rob somebody of something of value, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just really
Don't think
weird.
like that.
I'm just saying,
Um,
Again, I don't condone it, but
since guys, since I mentioned it, okay, so I showed you my box. So the first generation, for whatever reason, this one I genuinely don't know. To me, it remains one of the mysteries of this modern reissue of the Breguet Type 20 in quote unquote civilian/commercial production. So this is an early version that was at one point sold by Del Rey Watch Supply. One way of recognizing it is the Breguet script on the dial is actually missing the cross on the T. The T is not crossed. Interesting visual detail. And you will see very quickly that they have a gold cap on the crown. Now, some of the early watches, of course, have gone back to service with Breguet. And one of the first things that any house does, any um, of these brands do in their authorized service centers, is change the crown. That's the easiest thing they can justify and charge you. But anyway, so some have changed crowns, but usually the first generation is marked by this gold cap. And inexplicably, it's also 200 meters water resistant, 20 atmos depth rating, even though it has exactly the same construction, exactly the same specs. So I don't know why. If anyone actually knows the inside story, if anyone has the inside scoop on this, I would appreciate the explanation. But the first generation has this, and accordingly, it also has a presentation box that uh, replicates those gold rivets on the box, right? So it actually has a button here that helps you pop out or pop open the box. And this is how it looks from outside. And that's where the watch sits. And this is that wooden block that I was talking about. The only cool thing that I think the newer version is missing is this tacky little plate, which actually says Breguet Type 20. I would have liked to have that in the modern version, but here it is. And then they also had somewhere in the middle these ones. Right. So, which is practically the same, right? Instead of that gold button there, you have just a blue plastic button that helps you pop open the box. Again, that little plaque there. And it has something like a, plastic block in it where you place the watch. But still, I think very, very unnecessary for a watch box, honestly, because it can certainly damage very easily. So I'm glad the most modern version of it actually has a proper pillow, and the watch sits quite well to peek out of that window. Let's see if we can find any examples of the most modern one. Which is mine. I guess I can just pull it up again, but this is what it is. Yeah, so it actually has a pillow in there. This is, of course, the so-called transatlantique, which has a, which actually has a different kind of dial. It also has a brushed bezel instead of a polished bezel. Its bracelet, actually, I'm kind of fond of that because it has brushed center links with the outer links polished, whereas the Aeronaval no date bracelet is all polish. And as much as I love the all polished case of the Type 20 Aeronaval no date, with the bracelet, it can be a little too shiny. So I think really it's much better to wear it either on a leather strap or just get chuffed to bits and wear it on a NATO strap, as I'm doing it right now. What do you think, Meech? Does it fit?
I think this is one of the rare times that you'll catch me saying this, but I think you need to put it on a cheap and nasty leather strap.
I do. I actually mostly wear it that way, but I I think it actually fit quite nicely on this NATO strap as well. But the leather strap is really the best look. Archie mentioned that he paid 6K Australian, and that's a good deal. And it did have a date at 6, so that's transatlantique, and it was presented on a new Breguet strap. I have an entire stock. Yes, that's a good one. Oh, by the way, this is Joe. It's actually meant to be, perhaps, because I can't imagine sharing something like this with anyone other than you. So last time I was in the old country, I was actually digging through stuff as I usually do. And I came across these two beautiful lighters from my father, right? And they weren't really working. So I took it to the gentleman who runs the cigar lounge, and they're now working. So I won't have to use cheap, nasty matches to light my cigars anymore.
At least you're not like. I can't speak too much, but in my defense, I am starting off with cigars, but I still know quite a few guys who take like the the gas station Bic lighters and like try and light up a cigar that way. I immediately went to a Zippo after I realized what a terrible idea it was. But I think
I
I
mean,
actually
this look, when I was smoking cigarettes, I swore by Zippos, but the Zippo
right.
is
They're collectible, highly collectible too.
quite. It's a little harsh though for a cigar, because Zippo really has a very distinct gas smell, right? You wouldn't really want to. It's a cool look,
Right.
I have to admit. I think like Dupont is, or Dunhill, that's like more the classy and formal, whereas you light your cigar with the Zippo. Who fucking cares how that puff tastes? You look cool. So I'm gonna give you that, but it's not the best
I think a
flavor
torch
that
is
you can
more,
do.
like those little handheld torches are probably going to be the best way to
They
go.
are the easiest. They're the easiest. They're the most practical. They save you the time. But I think unless you want to get really pretentious and use cedar, pieces of cedar, like cedar matches. Matches are just fine. I was just using your terminology for the leather straps for the cheap, nasty um, thing. But yeah, I'm
Well,
usually fine with
do you have like the official cigar, like the ones that are like almost like I don't know, like 3 inches long, or do you just use like the ones that you would typically get like at a grocery store? Like the
I,
one that comes like in the 1,000 box count.
yeah, I have I have all sorts of different stuff. I have stuff that's more like this, nice Churchill size. I also smoke a lot of times just robustos, which are much smaller. Um, Really, it's about the time you have, Joe. More than anything. I don't care much about the size or gauge. I usually choose it by the time I have. If I have only 30 minutes or 40 minutes to smoke a cigar, I'm not gonna light a Churchill because I know I'm not gonna finish it.
So
I'm
thing
also
I
not
need
the
to
kind of person.
go right. Well, I just need to. So I got to go up to the Twin Cities next week. Next week or the fall. What? I got to go to the Twin Cities at some point here within the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to try and hunt down a cigar lounge because like the cigar place I have here, they're all candy flavored. They're
Mhm.
they're 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 kind of the entry level to get people addicted to smoking, which is yeah.
Nice. Helia says, I personally purchased the watch online just tonight because technically these are still online, like e-commerce exclusive, I think, the IWC, Mercedes, AMG, Petronas, directly, pardon me, from their website. It's Helia, I don't know if you were following it at all, but I was actually considering that watch myself, but I didn't actually go for it.
Yeah, to be honest, Lloyd, it's just the two of us. It really wasn't about the watch, was it?
No, I mean, if it wasn't about the watch, I think I would have actually bought it. At the end of the day, yeah, it just wasn't really for me. But I think of all watches that use some version of quote unquote Tiffany blue, in this case Petronas green, I think that's the one that's the most attractive to me. Wear it in good health and wealth. I think that's a beautiful watch. It's and I just think that rubber strap is cool, man. It's the other strap too, like the hybrid one. They also um, give with it. It's just, yeah, it's a cool package. It's a cool package, especially if you're into Formula One. Maybe you even support the Petronas team. I mean, that's a great watch.
Yeah, very cool.
And I like to watch congratulates. Helia says nice on the IWC. Nice. You know whose ad lib that is? Do you have? I'm testing rap trivia, Meech.
Oh shit, I'm not really big in rap. Maybe R&B. I can maybe kind of put together some R&B, but not really big into rap.
Let's see if anyone in the audience knows it. Whose ad lib is nice? Let's see if anyone in the audience knows this. I'll give it maybe 2 minutes and come back to it. Yeah, I actually, yeah, I went after this watch quite hard. Pause. As Meech himself knows, it's again, of all the watches that carry this particular shade of blue on the dial or as part of the package, I think this is the coolest one, because again, it looks just fantastic on that matching rubber band, but it's also a watch that you can even see on like a all black strap, or really something much more muted. It doesn't have to be necessarily pitch black. Something that doesn't necessarily echo the accents on the dial, and it would still look cool. um, I think it's just a good piece of design. Again, nothing truly groundbreaking, of course, because at the end of the day, this is the bane of my existence. It's the brands are extremely unimaginative. All they do from one year to another is to give us new dial colors. It's the same old designs over and over and over again. So I'm not going to give too much credit to IWC, but in terms of how they applied it to this style and to the iconic Pilot's chronograph design, I think they did a great job. Okay, Helia, I'm gonna actually ask you a question about this as well. I previously owned the 40 millimeter Le Petit Prince, but let it go abruptly, dissatisfied with the inaccuracy of the movement. I was never that guy. Do you keep close track of how your watches keep time from day to day, Meech?
Depends. It really depends on the brand. Like I'll go lenient. Like I'll go lenient on Tudor, Omega, Cartier, and what's another one I've owned? Yeah, so like those brands I'll go lenient on because I'm not um how do you say this? I'm not expecting the greatest quality for the price point. Now, keep in mind, I'm buying them. So I've never
Mm.
bought a Cartier Omega or a Tudor that's over 10 grand. So like under that 10 grand, I won't say I don't care, but it's not. If it's off by like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I'm not gonna lose my patience with it. Put it that way.
I mean, that's significant, by the way. I mean, even I might care about that if the watch was losing like 30 to 60 seconds per day. That would have been a little much. That's what SKXs are for.
Right, but I don't know. I guess I just really don't care that much, and when it
Right,
comes to
but
like I don't know, like Rolex, I'll pay
I
attention more.
really don't care that much. And
Oh, sorry, Professor. I muted you for a second because there was the echo, but I'm sure it will clear up. How are you doing, Professor? Top of the morning to you. Good? Can you hear us? Yes? No? All right. The professor will come back in a second. And I like to watch says, I want within 5 seconds fast. Yeah. Well, I mean, just to explain my position, honestly, maybe when I get the watch serviced, fresh out of service, I like seeing it keep better time than it usually does. And I might end up measuring it for 1 or 2 days. But for me, mechanical watches in the 21st century were never really about accuracy or precision. But again, I know this is a very subjective view. I know people care. For me, it's been always, does it keep good time? It keeps good time. Like it's not about chronometer certification, minus, plus 2, minus 5, plus 3, minus 5. I don't really follow that. What do you think about?
It really depends on how much money you're spending, I guess. I mean, like you said, I mean, like who gives a shit on like on a Seiko? If it's well, I mean, if it's a whole 5 minutes off, yeah, then it's a problem that needs to be addressed. But if it's a 2 or 3 minutes off, I mean, who gives a shit, honestly? Same thing with Tudors. I mean, if it's a minute off, who gives a shit? Omega, yeah. Same thing with Tudors. I mean, if it's a minute off, who gives a shit? Omega, yeah. Same thing with Tudors. If it's a minute off, who gives a shit? Omega, yeah. Same thing with
Professor, are you
Tudors.
doing okay? Hello? Can you hear us? Can you
Buenos
speak?
días. Buenos días, compañeros. Buenos
¿Qué
días.
tal? ¿Qué tal?
¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Muy bien, muy
Ah,
bien.
So Halia says, ironically, one of my most accurate is the 8L35 movement in the Seiko Marine Master. I've worn it pretty much daily, and it's very accurate. Yeah, I mean, look, I was very specific. I didn't just say Seiko, SKX. The caliber they had in the SKX 007 was notoriously inaccurate. I mean, to the point of, again, minutes and minutes. But yeah, Seiko at a higher level, even at the level of prospects, is much better. But at the level of Marine Master, for sure, it is significantly more accurate. And in fact, that's one of the things that Seiko prides itself on, right? And Meech is absolutely right. You really look at the price segment rather than necessarily the brand name. When you pay, for me, actually, if I were ever buying, retail watches, I should ask the richer people on this panel, like my friend Meech. I don't have experience buying these retail things, so I don't know how they keep time. But if I were to pay 5, 6, 7,000 for a watch, or anything more than 3,500, really, I guess I would care a little bit more. But again, for me, when I buy vintage watches, is it recently serviced? It is. Does it keep good time? It does. Fine. Give me the watch. It looks good, feels good. Nothing changed. No refinished dial, no funny business, nothing corroded or rusted, nothing too nasty, you know, no one else's grime on the watch necessarily. Um, Jake Brooks, JB, nice to see you, man. And Rick Budd says, upvoted for Lord and El Profesor. Did you forget about Joe, Rick?
I think there might be some personal beef there.
There is. Congrats, Reverend Plastic, on the Panda. Wear it in good health and wealth. He got another Daytona because he had just got the white gold on the Oyster Flex. Does he have one more? That's great. Professor, I wanted to show you the earlier message of one of the viewers. He says, where is El Profesor? He is my favorite watch guru on YouTube. Very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
So you have a lot of committed fans. I hope you know that. I want you to know that.
That's very kind of you guys. Very nice to see also Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
Hey, what's going
Hey,
on?
it's been a while. It's been a while
Hey.
since I had both of you.
Yeah. Actually, we should be all four with Ozzy also. Where is Ozzy?
That is the all-star lineup. That is the crew for sure.
All four of us. Yeah.
But I think as Ozzy is already moving in August, I think so. It's cutting pretty close. I understand that he has less time to spend on live streams for sure. And speaking of moves, Professor, are you getting any close to moving as well?
Yes, I finally found a place. I'm moving third week of September. Yeah, finally. Very difficult in this crazy red hot real estate market in the UK. Well, especially in the three big cities where there is a lot of demand: Cambridge, Oxford, and many parts of London, if not all of London. Yeah, but listen, I was watching this X. There are people running at this hour. I mean, I can barely wake up, and there are people 6 o'clock in the morning here running. Okay. Besides the garbage collection service. So, okay. Um, I was watching this former watch trader, um,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy is full of artistic revelations, I would say, artistic revelations, because short of saying that he is garbage, um, with his also low class accent. Um,
I let's not say that. Let's not make judgments based on people's accents, Professor. I
but
guess
no, but
other
yes.
people might be doing the same thing to us. That's all I'm saying.
No, I would say English accent.
Okay, fair.
So it specifies. He was saying um, that according to his sources, there will be an increase in the price of Rolex watches in January. So he should just go back to the last 22 years and find out that Rolex announces a price increase every 2 years. It's not every year. So
But
this is one.
how are you gonna push people to buy watches now unless you lie
Ah,
about an upcoming price
of
increase?
course, that's right. And then the other thing he so artistically said that as he was looking on the website of Rolex, he
Mhm.
discovered that the Bat Girl is no longer on the website of Rolex, and he believes that it has or it will be discontinued. Yeah,
Mhm.
this is another piece of garbage that is being pontificated out there. And this gentleman has a lot of subscribers. So if you buy this garbage, go out and buy a Batgirl. Probably, as you said, they have stored so many Batgirls that soon they're going to become Bat mice.
Well, I mean, eh, which which uh, which watch dealer, since this person is a retired watch dealer, which watch dealer
Retired,
sponsors his
Re-
website?
retired.
Who sponsors his website? Because I think he has a sponsor for the
Ah,
channel
yes, you're right.
who is
There are
actually a
these
watch dealer.
second hand.
Right.
You know, they
So
all
there are
these
other,
guys.
yeah, there are people who actually do sell watches, and he helps them. So I guess those people must have a lot of Batman and Batgirls in stock, and he's trying to help them, which is great, right? I love helping my friends, but
Yes, but don't
I don't
misinform the
play.
public.
I
But
don't play games around it. I don't lie to other people based on that. Hey, Fats, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for upvoting for the prof.
all I'm saying is it's fine. You can go and say you can give a, give yourself a title and appear as long as you have no conflict of interest and as long as you speak the truth or to the best of your knowledge. Now, of course, he caveats himself saying that, well, I'm not exactly sure this is true. Well, if you don't know and you cannot verify, don't say it. There is no point
Uh,
of saying it. It's like writing an article about certain issues that are speculative. You don't write the article, you base it on facts. But 90% of all this is based on speculation. Oh, they will announce a January increase. Oh, the Batgirl is going to be discontinued. Oh, buy this, buy that, because it's going to vanish. I mean,
do you
this is.
remember? Do you remember how he was talking about an Everose Submariner before the Watches and Wonders? He was saying, like, this is special leak, and he was showing pictures actually of the watch, like some sort of rendering on someone's wrist of a watch that didn't exist, and he was so sure that it was gonna come out in the. It was like, I think, rose gold and with a
Yeah,
blue face.
yeah, and another piece of info that he said is that oh, there are only 6 people at Rolex that know really what's going on in the company. I mean, this is also garbage. These people should just sit at their shops selling watches. Don't talk about
But
who knows
he's
what.
retired. He's retired
Ah, he's retired. So why is he doing YouTube then? Because he's retired.
for the community. For the community,
Ah,
of course,
the
Professor.
community
Yes.
of
Do
misinformation. So
do you think
I
do you
think.
think people do you think he takes super chats for himself, for his own
Ah,
financial benefit? You must
right.
be kidding,
It's for
Professor. That's not
for the
possible.
community. You're right. So
Of
I'll
course,
say
for the community.
something. I don't know if you know this gentleman. I'm sure you've seen him, but there is another gentleman. Um, I actually liked what he said recently, and he went ahead and said that to his viewers that what, guys, don't watch any of these YouTube people, or be very selective, because a lot of it is just garbage. This gentleman has his own channel, but he doesn't take any super chats, monetary super chats. He just takes comments. And I valued what he said, to be honest. I valued when he said that, be careful when you watch a lot of these people with deep knowledge, in the industry. Only 6 people know what's going on at Rolex. I mean, how many are so it's going to be the CEO, right? And 5 other people. You know how many photographers Rolex has? Just alone the photographers is more than six. When they take these pictures and they put them on the website, there are more than six people. So this is kind of garbage from a garbage machine to create a bit of noise. And I like the environment. They just walk around towns, rivers and cities, and they show your coffee, your pasta, your spaghetti, a little bit of a boat, a little bit of a sky, and then you say something about a watch. I like this artistic stupidity of people, and people, want to get out of the boredom, and they listen to the bullshit.
El Professor, I'm a little honestly, I'm a little offended that you use the word
Huh.
art for what they're doing, but
Art.
I
Okay,
will
I'm
concede.
sorry.
I'll
You're right.
concede. No, it's okay. But I mean, I'm a
You're right. It's not so
little
artistic.
miffed, little irked, but I think it gives a bad name to art. But you look, El Professor, they're professionals. They have certainly a better grasp of the YouTube video as a medium and as a kind of content than I do. I'm not going to deny that. So
Hmm.
they abide by a certain set of generic conventions. So walking around town and talking, kind of ranting, this is a very popular genre in YouTube. This is an
Maybe you can we do the same? Maybe I can walk around. I can start
Sure.
walking around,
By all
and I can
means,
talk to
by all
you.
means,
And
by all means.
unfortunately, it's 6 a.m., so probably people will think I'm completely crazy, walking around talking. But yeah,
But by all means, you can. And the second thing is, of course, and you would know this from your students, the ones who don't know what they're talking about will tell you a great deal about their day, what they ate in the morning,
yeah,
and how they are bummed out about this, and they really didn't like what, so you have to have a lot of filler, because when you don't know what you're talking about, you're gonna waltz around the actual topic before you get to it, which you do in the last 5 minutes of, let's say, a 2-hour live stream. So you can just
mm,
make a quick run at the end and say, oh guys, by the way, the show just ended. Next time we will talk about watches, and that next time is like, yeah, it's like, it's not coming. It's not coming. Don't Yeah, if you want to learn about watches, you don't watch those channels. If you want to learn about the business of watches,
oh
in the sense that
yes,
the dark underbelly of watch trading and flipping, by all means watch these people, but watch it with the knowledge that they are essentially con artists, and nothing else. Very little knowledge about what they're selling, and it doesn't matter. A lot of these people can sell you anything if you are there
yes,
to buy it, with the
yes,
mind
yes.
tricks they have, with the stories they tell, with the way they try to make you feel sorry about, how who they are and how they are in life. They can make you, I mean, imagine one of them literally tried to steal another person's money and made it into a story of him being bullied on a school ground, and he couldn't even
Mm.
remember which arm of his they broke. That's the funniest
Ah,
part of that story for me.
which arm
He
they
was like,
broke?
Was it my left?"
Left,
Professor,
right, both.
have
Mm.
you broken any bone, and is there a chance that you don't remember what it is that you broke?
No, unless I have amnesia. Kind of like the movie where this lady wakes up every morning
I
and she
haven't.
doesn't remember what she did.
50 first dates. um but now you're giving me an idea. Maybe he did not remember, because drinking
Huh.
alcohol excessively on a daily
Oh,
basis does kill a lot of your gray cells. So if you don't have any gray matter left in your brain, in your racist, anti-Semitic piece of shit brain, you might actually forget which arm they are going to break next as well, very quickly. Fries with Mayo says, Professor is on a roll. Cannot agree more with him. Yeah, we're blessed to have El Professor in the house today.
You're very kind. Where is Mitch? He disappeared.
Mitch says he had to go actually.
Ah,
Kindly
oh,
at least
okay.
wrote something in the chat. He didn't want to
Ah,
interrupt
okay.
what we were saying. So he says
Okay.
gotta shoot off, and he had to run away with his sheep.
Yeah, that's what I found interesting over the last few days, and all this debate about. And then what I like is that they do clearly say that they're being sponsored by a watch dealer, a secondhand watch dealer, and then they go through the secondhand watch dealer's webpage. I find that very nice. This is a new way of advertising watches for other people. Okay, they can do. They do this for cars as well, and dogs and cats,
Yeah.
and there is a website for cars, and I'm sure
Dogs for
shoes.
dogs and cats we say shop. Sorry, adopt, don't shop. But yeah, for everything
Adopt.
else, I
Okay.
think there's a way. There's a way. Yeah, by the way, guys, speaking of sponsored, if you want to help support the completely unsponsored watch channel,
The only one.
so I'm sending the links out there. Guys, this is a channel that is completely at the behest of its audience. We are here for Watch Talk every day, not only on the live streams, but with other content as well that I put out there at least twice a week. On more digestible forms. I will share a few once they come up in discussion, but it is at the behest of the audience that I do everything to respond to your questions, respond to your comments, try to bring up topics that you would like to discuss, try to attend to your concerns. Also means that you are the lifeblood of this channel. This is your platform. This is your house, really. But of course, the easiest way you can help me is to hit that like button, give me a little bit more exposure, spread the word, share the link on other platforms, bring in more people into the community, and help me reach 1,000 subs so I can get the channel monetized, so I can get something in return of the time, effort, and really work that I put into this channel. And there are already three ways through which you can do that. I have a PayPal account at lordhellespontv@gmail.com, lordhellespontv@gmail.com. That's also my primary point of contact. So if you want to write to me, you either write an email to me there, or you DM me on Instagram. I have a Cash App, $LHVVV, $LHVVV. And I also opened a Patreon account with the express purpose of increasing the quality and quantity of content on this channel. Simply anything that you contribute, anything you send me goes directly back to the channel, goes to the equipment, and most importantly, just allows me to dedicate more time into the channel. And Patreon, I specifically established, even though I'm far from my goal, to help me start additional live streams earlier in the day so we can have people like El Professor on the stream even more often, because I would actually be live streaming at a time which is more humane and more reasonable for the UK and for continental Europe.
Yes.
And that would be an additional live stream at least twice a week. So if you want to help me put out more content, increase in general the quality of content on this channel, that's the best way to do it. The links are there. Also, the information is in that crawling ticker and included in the video description. So thank you, and hit the like button. Mm. So you have been listening to a lot of these other watch channels I'm seeing in the meantime.
Yes, I just want to listen to what they say. Curiosity killed the cat, obviously, but yeah, I just want to see the garbage that is being produced. When there is, and I agree with this gentleman who said, "Don't listen, don't follow. Just you know, be an enthusiast." Um,
Hmm.
because a lot of it is, it's based on misinformation. Even if it's well intended, by people who do have the passion of watch collecting, it does, they just don't know enough. I mean, there is always in the watch
Pardon.
business, because of its lack of transparency. I said this many times and I'll say it again. You think that you know, and even myself, I don't know. There's always somebody else who knows more, and then there is somebody else who knows even more. So, because it is opaque, it is a dark horse, the watch business. Do not think that you know. I even our esteemed contributor, Aussie expat, one day I did read, he said that there are more explorers being produced than Daytonas.
Right.
And it depends how to qualify that. Is it
No, the
you,
why
you know
vice versa. He was saying that there are more
he
Daytonas
vice
produced
versa?
than Explorers. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, it was more Daytonas than Explorers. um, so we need to qualify that. I mean, is it in as a general figure, or is it the specifics of the old steel model? Because this was not the case for a long period of time, and it's still not the case for a long period of time.
I think
Um,
I think ultimately he was trying to make an educated guess, and even educated guesses can be off, like you said, because people like me, people like Aussie, we don't necessarily have the insight. We don't necessarily have a look from the
yeah, it's
inside.
based on
Um,
intuition. It's based on deduct. Yeah, it's based on,
and
yeah,
sometimes it's
kind of.
it's it's plain wrong. I mean, I say a
Yeah, I
lot of
guess
things.
it's a
I
guesstimate. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
guesstimate.
I qualify it. I say, like, of course I can't see into the future. I'm not a diviner, but so as long as we qualify what we are saying like that, I think it's okay. And again, we are not in the business of speculation, so
Yeah,
nothing to worry about there.
yeah, it's not. It's and again, it's the nature of the industry. It is opaque. It's
Right.
not like any other industry. If it was transparent, most of the people who pontificate, they would be out of business, or at least they'll be disqualified. Because in the car business, for instance, you know how many cars are being sold by whom and all of that. In the watch industry, nobody knows. Nobody really knows precisely how many Patek Philippe's are being produced, and so forth. Omega, they only tell you the total volume of the Swatch group. The same with Rolex and all of that. So it is an opaque industry, and it flourishes on this opaqueness.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
based on this opaqueness, people buy watches. In fact, people should understand that it is on this basis that most people buy watches, because it is manufactured exclusivity. The more exclusive you are, the more you buy, thinking that it is exclusive, but it is a mass produced product with certain exceptions. Once you go into these watch brands that have huge advertisement and marketing budgets,
Hmm.
you're not buying exclusivity. For a brand like AP, Patek, Vacheron, they're not exclusive. They make you think it is exclusive, but it is not as exclusive. It is a mass produced product, right? And of course, you go into Omega and Rolex, and that's hugely mass produced. with the exception of some models, right? Let's not exaggerate also this principle. But because of its opaqueness, people say anything. This is discontinued, something else is discontinued, and so forth. What is clearly the case is that whether we are in an official or unofficial recession, the numbers coming out from the U.S. economy demonstrate that the economy is in a severe slowdown. Technically, the economy has produced now 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth in terms of GDP. So it
Mhm.
is technically in a recession, although stock markets show that it is in a deep recession. So obviously, watches will be reflected and asset prices will reflect that and so forth.
I mean, it's already. I think it's already reflecting it in a way, but like you have pointed it out many times over, um, it's since it's a speculative market, since people who talk about, oh, it's just a correction and the prices only dipped 20% are more or less the same people who set those prices in those
Correct.
secondary market venues, platforms for sale. They can maintain this illusion for just a little while longer. But after a while, when they can't trick people into buying all the Batmans they have stockpiled or all the Hulks or all the whatever, um, it's gonna come crashing down with the rest of the market. I mean, it's not pretty, right? It's not. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. It's just we are heading towards a period of time, a period of, at least let's put it this way, austerity, where luxury wristwatches really won't be a priority for most people. Now, people like us, I'm sure we will still continue caring about them. I'm sure we'll still continue to, um, follow the trends. I'm sure we'll still continue to make very educated purchases, take calculated risks. But you have to realize it's a risk. That's why, for example, I talked my friend Alex, wristwatchholic, from purchasing a Lange One just a few days ago, because he was hell bent at making a deal right around $30,000 um, for a Lange One, most recent generation, uh, full box and papers, great condition. But I was just thinking, look, in the next 5 months, think of it like this: you are basically paying a premium to wear the watch for the rest of 2022, because I don't see into the future, but I know a few things, about economics 101. uh, I have El Professor here, who constantly reminds me and re-educates me about what is to come and how to make sense of all these numbers and data. So I'm making a guesstimate, as El Professor said earlier. I'm making an educated guess that even Lange, which made very gradual gains over the years, right? It's not except for the Odysseus, it's not a hyped watch, right? Lange has made
Yes.
gradual gains over the years of what was a severe, or let's say significant, value depreciation on the secondary market compared to the retail price. Now, the retail price continued to rise because, again, they maintained a certain prestige, quality, and exclusivity. And the more people became aware of Lange, especially after the release of their stainless steel integrated bracelet, quote unquote, sports watch, there's a new kind of passion for the brand. And over the years, they have been basically getting there, where most of their watches are much closer now on the secondary market in terms of trends compared to their retail prices. So they will be the ones that lose less. But nevertheless, if you go into the first quarter of 2023, probably you'll get a Lange 1 much cheaper than you can get a Lange 1 now. I think, that's a decent estimate. Dodger is here. Dodger, thank you for the upvote. And he says, always try and listen in when I can. Thank you for being here. 7:30 a.m. here. Just woke up. Have a great day, night, afternoon. Thank you, Dodger.
Yeah, I think the idea is if you're into the watch market and you're trying to plan, plan wisely. If you have a lot of money, go crazy, right? What is a lot of money? Money that you don't have. If you spend on watches without caring about your savings and all of that, your balances, then you're fine. And there is a matrix: net wealth versus savings and so forth, or income. How much you should be spending on a watch. But overall, these are difficult times, and they will get more difficult. So buy wisely and enjoy, and buy because of the passion of the hobby, rather than I'm going to buy it as an investment. This rubbish business, garbage that people would create the myth around a watch being an investment. If you look back to 30 years, at least the 30 years I've been observing closely the watch industry,
Mhm.
um, um, watches was not an investment. Watches became an investment very recently. It's a phenomenon after the 2008-9 great financial crisis. It was rarely the case before that. There were very few pieces that appreciated, and very few people knew of the pieces that were appreciating in value. And suddenly, because of the liquidity factor, right? And then YouTube and all of that, and then the recent newcomers of people who would sell, perfumes, ducks, dogs, and everything else. Now they sell watches, and you know, and they have tattoos all over their face, and you don't know if they're gonna shoot you, kill you, or sell you a watch, or rob you from the watch that they sold you.
Honestly, I yesterday, the reason I was absent is we had one of our Los Angeles meetups with some of our lovely friends. Dirk Diggler was there, Alex was there, Chris Kelly was there. But I was thinking about my own past. I think the young me, as Gucci Man put it so eloquently, the young me would rob the old me as well. So we have all done crazy things when we were little. But I never look. I don't know. I don't mind when people have tattoos wherever they want them and need them. But if I'm especially in that kind of business, in gang related activity, I would be the last person to advertise it with something that you can see on my face. I just
Yeah,
think
all I'm
logistically it
saying,
doesn't make sense.
yeah, all I'm saying is that the watch industry has transformed itself. Not the industry, the sales industry, because these are not representatives of any watchmaker. These are, the let's say aficionados, if I can include them all, and it has
If
all kinds of people involved.
just a momentary interruption there, I like to watch. Thank you. I just got what you meant with PP. Thank you for your PayPal contribution. I appreciate you. And Jake Brooks, JB, has just joined as a contributor on Patreon. So thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I was saying, Lord, that the second hand, the this watch industry has attracted all walks um, of people, in all walks of the watch industry. And it wasn't meant to be. The watch industry never created this demand. It just became highly sought after as a result of this liquidity, right? And people didn't know where to park their money, and suddenly, you had people who would know very little, start advising people what to buy. Buy this, buy that, and that's where we are. But is this good or bad? Well, for the watch industry, this is great, right? Because things will recover eventually. We're not going to be completely destroyed. I mean, we never get destroyed. I can, from 1929 until today, we have had, I would say, what, 12 or 13 significant recessions, right? Of which the last one, we felt it for about a year or something. And this one
Mm.
could last a little bit longer. Um, so things go down and then they go up again. Um, but my advice to people is that buy the watches that you enjoy and wear, and if you start storing them, yes, you can, um, but do not think that it's going to be necessarily a huge investment. I mean,
Of course. But I mean, look, storing actually, you're putting your finger there on something important and something that's a little different, right? Again, this is not how I approach this. This is not how I collect watches. But one thing that I understand is when people, let's say, genuinely have a lot of disposable income and they get something that's extremely limited, very hard to acquire, and they just stash it away. And sometimes they are so fortunate that they can get two, one to wear, one to store, right? One to
yeah,
stash
this
away.
is a bit sick, actually.
I know. To
this
hoard and
this is a
possess,
bit
as
sick.
as,
One,
as
yeah,
Tom
one
said.
to wear,
But
one to hoard. I mean, this is
yeah,
like sick. Go
yes,
and
but
have a
that's
life.
that that can be an investment. I mean, I'm sure you pointed out this a few times as well. You know,
Yeah.
buying a new watch, wearing it, and then expecting it to somehow double, triple, quadruple in value after 10 years of your wear, where you don't have necessarily the means to sell it to the best buyer, um, where you will probably end up being skinned by a gray market profiteer anyways 10-15 years down the line. It's just the wrong approach. If you actually know what you're doing, I mean, let's say, forget about the true scenario, but let's say somehow by some freak accident you were allocated uh, an Aquanaut from Tiffany, that has that signature on the dial as well. Honestly, I
Hmm.
wouldn't wear that watch. I would
No, I
just
wouldn't.
keep it
I wouldn't
keep it in
wear it.
that keep it in the Tiffany bag and box, and stash it away in a bank, and I will see if I can sell it in an auction 10-15 years down the line. Scenario, right? So
I
it's
wouldn't
just
wear it
something that I
because,
wanted to
first
add.
of all, you bang this thing and it will fall apart. You hit it and it will fall apart. It's a stupid watch. People think that Patek Philippe, you wear that watch and
It's
the clasp alone can fall apart. Mine, you take it for a service and you pay half the retail price of what it used to go for. I mean, I'm
guys,
exaggerating again,
you
but
know, you know, we don't serve industry interests, and you can certainly tell we don't serve Patek at all.
yeah, yeah, for sure, we're not serving Patek Philippe. We're never going to get
Um,
sponsored by Patek Philippe. That's for sure.
no, no,
Uh,
I we
yeah.
would. they would be above us. But what I was trying to say is, Aquanaut is for the playboy lifestyle. You know, if you lounge your entire life by the poolside, and the most activity you get is really, you know,
It's a stupid watch. It's a
sweating on
stupid
another
watch.
person. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that um, Turtle Knight says, "What is this talk? They're precious, but not flimsy, delicate even."
What does that mean?
He's saying, "What are you talking about, Professor? They are delicate, they're precious, but they're not flimsy."
Hmm?
That's what he's saying.
They're not flimsy. Okay, go and wear it for a year every day, and let's talk about it. Actually, wear it for 6 months, and let's talk about it. In what condition the watch will be, the Aquanaut and the stupid
Nautilus.
Nautilus. Uh,
Um,
and then we talk
well,
about it. Then wear it for 6 months another real steel watch, and then we
you
talk
know,
about it.
I learned a lot of my life philosophy from Sesame Street, El Profesor, and you know, there's the
Ah,
character Cookie Monster. You
Cookie
remember the
Monster,
Cookie
yes.
Monster? So Cookie
Yeah.
Monster, and I will adapt something he says about cookies. He says cookie is not an all-time food. Cookie is not an everyday food, right? You have to eat the cookie once every so often. Oh, sorry, I have to take this call. I think I might have to actually end this live stream. Wait a second.
Oh, really? Okay. What happened? Did the Patek Philippe police arrive? And they're watching us. Classic car collectors do the very same. Buy a car and store it, not drive it. Well, yeah, not everybody, not all car collectors, store one and drive another one. I know of one that collects Porsche, and he drives them. Well, he has one of 25 different cars, and he actually doesn't drive any of them, I have to say. And I have another friend who has two Porsches, and he drives both of them. So he's more of a my guy who enjoys